Wicked. Brrr. Here we are with Curtis Razor Blaydes. How you doing, fam?
I'm good, bro.
It's first and foremost, just want to say congratulations on your recent performance. It was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. What was that like going in there with the Overeem?
I mean, it's whoever I fight, whoever it is. I I don't really focus on who you are. I'm more so focused on what you might be doing to me. So uh, the biggest thing, he wasn't that aggressive, so that, that pretty much allowed me to uh, slow things down and attack him in a smart way.
So you got to enact your game plan a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice work. And in terms of going forward, like what is your vision for the forward? Is it like will you possibly have to fight Francis or Derek again, or will you be able to have a shot at that title? Or
I I don't have any control over who I fight next. I mean, in a perfect world, they give me a title shot, but who knows if that happens? If not, if I have to fight the winner of Derek Lewis and Ngannou, or if I have to fight the Russian Alexander Volkov, either way, the next fight I have, if it isn't the belt, it'll be #1 contender fight. So it's still a win for me.
yeah, it's awesome that you're in this position as well. Like, has this been a bit of a dream for you, or when did this become a thing? Like fighting for the title in the UFC. Is that a dream that you've had for a while, or?
I mean, yeah, it's been a dream ever. I dreamed about it when I was an amateur, but before I was an amateur, I never really had any aspirations of being in the UFC.
Mm.
Um, it kind of just happened that way. But yeah, you always want to be the best at whatever you do, and getting the belt just proves I'm the best.
Yeah, nice. And so, as an amateur, like, tell us a little bit about your history, like with when did you start in the game, and how did you get into it?
I've been an amateur. Well, I was an amateur from 2012 to 2014. Um, I was a wrestler in high school and college, and after I won junior college nationals in February of 2012, um, I was supposed to go to a bigger school after that, but uh, I didn't get my grades over to them in the right time amount, so I missed my slot to go wrestle at this other school. So I didn't have anything to do for like five months. So a buddy of mine from high school, he kept hitting me up. He was already into MMA, and we wrestled together. So he told me that if I did MMA, I could still wrestle. I just had to also do the other aspects of it. So I was like, that's fine with me. I started doing boxing in August of 2012, and I had my first amateur fight a month later.
Oh, wow! So you for a month from when you started learning striking to when you had your first fight.
Yeah, it was pretty fast, but early on, I really didn't use my striking that much. I basically just grapple guys. I had way better grappling than a lot of guys on the amateur level.
Mm. So you just played to your strengths, right?
Yeah, I didn't
So
want to take any risks.
yeah, 100%. So for you, what's the balance for you in terms of like focus? Do you focus how much percentage of your time do you focus on striking or on your weaknesses, the things that you aren't so developed in, compared to what you focus on your strengths?
Um, I wrestle once a week, and then the rest of the week, all my other practices are focused on my striking and jiu-jitsu. I don't really need to wrestle anymore. I'm not going to get any better, and I'm not going to get any worse. So I really don't do wrestling as much as I used to.
Yeah, cool. So in terms of jiu-jitsu, how long you been practicing jiu-jitsu for? How long you been playing that?
Uh, I've only really been doing it for the last 2 years, but the very first time I put a gi on was in 2012, like December 2012.
Yeah, nice. So when you go in there, like, is that all part of the game plan for you? Is to avoid like those areas where you're weaker, or like for instance, there's a lot of people in there who will be like high level grapplers or high level with jiu-jitsu or high level wrestlers or high level strikers. Is that something that you plan into your game plan to avoid those areas where somebody's a much higher level than you, or so that they have to play against your game plan, or what's the kind of mentality going in?
The game plan is always to eventually to use my boxing and get in range to use my wrestling, but I'm not afraid to strike. I feel like my movement, my footwork, my head movement is good enough to for like the small exchanges. I don't want to do like eight punch combos, but I can do t- t- 2 to like 5 punch combos, and then immediately go back to my wrestling. I use them both. I, the wrestling feeds off the striking, and vice versa.
No doubt. So when you first was that your first fight in the UFC that you fought Francis?
Yeah,
So you had never seen this guy before, or you had much tape on him, and
no.
it was just he's just this freak of nature dude who come in with this striking, and you were like surprised. What would you do differently if you had to face him again,
Uh,
without giving away too much, if in case you do?
no, I mean, like I said, the game plan is always the same.
Yeah,
I would exactly what I did the last time we fought. I would do it again, just better.
just execute it a bit, like make him play your game a bit more.
Yeah, I wasn't as composed as I probably should have been. I'm not gonna blame that. He beat me. He just beat me. But
Mm.
there's a lot of things I could have done better.
And that was how long ago? How many years ago was that?
About 2.5 years.
Yeah. So his game's probably developed likewise yours.
Actually, I don't think he's evolved at all. I think he's exactly the same person he was then
Mm.
as he is today. Because he's been getting 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 away with not having to adapt. He hasn't been forced to wrestle, except his last fight against um, Stipe.
Against Stipe, yeah.
But I doubt he's going to become a much better grappler this this late in the game. He's already like 32 years old. I doubt he's going to like all of us a sudden become a great grappler.
No doubt. So for you, what is yeah, your take on like this, the self promo, like the social media and all this kind of stuff? How important is that for a fighter these days?
Uh, that's that's the name of the game. You got to promote yourself. I mean, a few guys get picked and they get blessed, and they get the push from the UFC, but a majority of guys are doing it on their own, making videos, calling guys out. But for me, that's not really. I'm not really interested in all that. I focus on winning the fights. As long as you win fights, you'll get fans, you'll get the followers, you'll get the sponsors.
Mm-mm-mm. No doubt. So you do the talking in the ring more so,
Yeah,
or in the octagon. So
I don't really do the McGregor. That's not really my thing. I'm not good at it either. So I'm not even gonna attempt it.
right, just stick to the strengths, like you said. So if yeah, if somebody's talking shit to you, what's your response? Just to like be just
Or
to be
just
like,
fight.
You just be like, all right,
Like,
we'll talk about it once that Octagon gate is closed, right?
yeah, like I'm more along the lines of when McGregor fought uh, Nate Diaz. I'm more of a Diaz guy. Like, I don't want to talk smack. I just want to fight.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And I guess you said before that it doesn't really matter for Francis or Derek. Game plan's always going to be the same. Doesn't matter who's in front of you. Um,
No,
so is it like when people talk about like, oh, he's a good matchup, or styles make fights, you don't read too much into that, or you don't buy into that kind of stuff, or
it doesn't apply to me because whoever you are, if you're a, a great kickboxer, I'm going to wrestle you. If you're a great wrestler, I think I'm the better wrestler. I'm still going to wrestle you. If you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, I think my pressure is enough to uh, stop your jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to wrestle you. Whoever you are, I'm going to wrestle you.
So it doesn't matter. Like you haven't got a pick. You haven't got anyone in particular. You'd rather be like, all right, I want to fight this guy, or it doesn't matter who's holding the title. If it's Stipe, if it's Francis, if it's Derek, if it's could be DC, someone like that.
Doesn't matter to me. I mean, they're all good. They're all good fighters. There's no easy fight in the top five. There's no easy fights. So to have a preference doesn't really make sense.
Mm. So, what do you think about guys like that? Guys coming up and doing different weight divisions and all of this. Like, what's your like? Would you ever? I don't know if what you're walking around at or what your weight is. Would that be an impossible weight cut for you to get down to
No,
light heavyweight or?
no, I had to hack off my leg. I couldn't do it. We thought about it like 5 years ago. I got like a virus and I couldn't eat for like a week, and I dropped down to 225. But that's the lowest I've been in a long time, and it wasn't healthy. I didn't look good.
Didn't look good and feel good.
Mm-mm.
So that's not a possibility for you to unify any kind of belt or anything like
No,
that.
I wish if I could get down there, I'd give it a shot. If it were like,
Would that
oh,
increase your speed and such like that, or it doesn't make much difference for you?
I mean, I feel good at. I usually walk around at 270, but when I walk into the octagon, I'm more like 255. I feel good there.
Yeah, nice. So in terms of yeah, like using this kind of thing as a platform, I know I see a lot of guys who go in the octagon, or they have this platform now where they're fighting, and I saw one good example is Brian Ortega. He went from
Yeah.
hardly being known to, he was a little bit known in the jiu-jitsu world, obviously with working with the Gracies and that, and then all of a sudden knocking out Frankie, and then the only person to do that, and he just shot up like this, so. And now he's using his platform to help out people who was the kids who were struggling like he was. So like in terms of using your platform to like do good in the world, I see like Rose Namajunas and that, like there's a certain types of people who use that platform to go out and do some good in the world. Is that yeah? What are your thoughts and feels on that?
I would like to. Originally, I'm from Chicago, and I don't know if you know about Chicago, but it's a little rough. It's getting kind of rough over there. Um, and yeah, if I had the resources, obviously I have the platform, but if I had the financial resources, I would do my best to help out the community.
Mm.
That's one of my goals in the future.
Yeah, nice. And what is the difference? Like if in the reality, like I hear this talk about Bellator, people moving over there because they get paid better or looked after better, or like is that in terms of do you see that as a good thing? Like having another organization that can compete for the fighters and free agents and such like this.
Yeah, I think eventually the UFC will have to start to match the Bellator contracts. Otherwise, they'll lose all the good young prospects.
Mm,
I know Bellator's been snatching up a lot of former Division I wrestlers. A lot of guys I know
mm.
that just just from being a wrestler, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys got snatched up early in their pro careers, and they're fighting for belts. I think a lot of them have a lot of potential, and I think eventually, in like maybe 5 to 8 years, those guys are going to be like, they're going to be putting on shows that people want to watch, and I think it's going to be healthy competition for the UFC. And I think it helps us as fighters, as a community. More money, it's always better.
100%. It's quite meteoric, the rise of the sport. So it's I feel it's a good thing as well. What's the deal with, like, if it's somebody's in Bellator is the lightweight champion, the heavyweight champion, whatever it is over there, and then someone's in the UFC is also that, like, who's the real champ kind of thing,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little biased. I am on the UFC's roster, so I'm always gonna pick guys in the UFC. I just think right now the quality and the depth in Bellator just isn't. It's not there yet. They have a couple good names, a couple good prospects, like Aaron Pico. He's a good guy at 145, but like right now, you toss him in there with a top 10 guy in the UFC, and I don't know. I don't know if he has the experience yet. So it's just things like that. It's going to take time for the quality to match the quality that the UFC has had over 20 years to build up.
And that's just because it's the younger organization, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. But it's good as well. And in terms of the difference for you, like if you're fighting on a fight night versus, like a UFC Singapore versus, UFC 226, what's the difference in terms of like getting paid for the fighters or being on the undercard versus the main event card, and you know what I mean? Like the pay-per-views?
I'm still young in the game, so I'm still trying to learn how all that goes. I know big name guys, when they're on pay-per-view cards, I know they get a piece of the points. I don't know how exactly that works, but it's always better to be on pay-per-view as opposed to being on a card that's on here in America at 8 a.m. Because I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch that one. I wanted to, but
right.
I couldn't get up early enough.
Yeah.
So just things like that. Exposure. You don't get as much exposure when you're fighting on a card on the other end of the world, unless it's pay-per-view like the one I did with Mark Hunt.
So that's like almost opportunity, I guess. Fighting names like Overeem, that gets you in front of more eyeballs because the name is known and that, right?
It definitely helps.
Do you see your following increase when you fight these kind of big names and that?
Oh yeah. After the Hunt fight, my Instagram jumped up about 8,000.
Yeah,
And then
right.
after it went up like another 10,000. And I'm hoping if I get the title shot, it goes up like another 100,000.
Yeah, right.
That's
That's incredible. And what does that mean? What does the following mean? Does that just mean more eyeballs, that your stock increases in the company?
It's just the more followers you get, the more leverage you have. At the UFC is more likely to play ball with you if you have 180,000 followers as opposed to just 80,000.
Yeah.
And then with the sponsors want guys that have big viewings. Like, it's hard for me to get the paid sponsorship. I get a lot of gear and stuff, but it's hard to get the money gigs because I don't have enough followers yet.
Yeah, no doubt. Is that something you think about in terms of, like, do you employ somebody to run social media stuff and marketing and stuff like that? Do guys do that? I hear about some guys who have like writers for when they're in the press conferences and, talk a lot of shit and, do crazy shit, like throw things at buses and, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's not my thing. I know a lot of guys do have like what would that be, like social media manager,
Mm.
but I don't. All of my followers are organic. That's the way I want it because I'm organic. I don't. I don't want writers. I don't want to have anyone else having a control over my Instagram or my Twitter. I like to post everything on my page is by me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
No doubt. And in terms of, you talk organic, talk to me about nutrition and diet and how important that is. Is that, as a heavyweight, we hear about you can eat whatever the hell you want. Is that something that you do, or do you like to stick to a certain kind of, nutrition plan?
I mean, during my camps, I do eat a lot better. I have a couple sponsors for meat. I have a bison sponsor, and I have a ground beef sponsor. And the meat I get is really lean and it's really healthy. And I make a lot of pastas, a lot of burgers, tacos. I just eat that pretty much and drink a lot of water.
Do you want to give them a shout out, or?
Oh yeah, both my sponsors. The bison one is Iowa Bison Company, and the other one is Laura's Lean Beef.
No doubt. Get that bison in you. That's some good quality meat right there, right?
Yeah, it's really good. It's just a little pricey. That's why I'm happy to sponsor.
glad glad they sponsor you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And for you, like, I guess, well, tell us a little bit about the reality. Has it changed? Like, has things changed since you were an amateur to now in the professional, in terms of like your training regime? Like, is your team grown in any particular way that has changed? Or, when you're, how many fights a year are you having compared to the amateur compared to now? Like, yeah, tell us a little bit about the difference between the amateur to now in the pro.
Well, me being a pro, me being a pro as opposed to me as an amateur. When I was an amateur, I was in the gym maybe 8 hours a week, and I really didn't eat well. I didn't have a striking coach. I really didn't have like MMA coaches.
Mm.
So that's a big difference. My diet a lot different. Being here in Denver as opposed to being in Chicago, the food here is a lot healthier, a lot less greasy. Um, and
And how many hours are you in the gym?
I'm in the gym 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah, wow.
So just me being in the gym a lot more. That's probably the biggest difference. Just always in there, even if I'm not going hard, just light drilling. It all adds up.
So are you light drilling? Because I, practicing jujitsu myself only recently, always something is always sore. Is that, you hear about fighters, like, I never go into a fight 100%. There's always something banged up, from training, from sparring, from, camp. So is that something that is a reality? Like you just pretty much operating always, below 100% at all times, or, and is that how you manage it? You just spar light, you just roll light, like when you're a bit more banged up?
Well, yeah, me personally, I've been a bit. I haven't been injured, but I've been hurt going into almost all my fights. The last one I had a bruised rib going into that one. Yeah, it's just you listen to your body. If you're not hurting, you go hard. If you're hurting, you don't. It's just you got to be an adult, and you have to know when to push yourself and know when to pull it back.
Mm-hmm. And for you, are there people you look up to, or you have as mentors in the game, like the people you were watching when you were younger, or?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of guys I look up to. Corey Anderson, he's one. He's a light heavyweight. He's also he was born in Illinois. And I know him because he wrestled and we both wrestled. And then one of my teammates, Neil Magny, he trains down here with us, and he's like our captain of of Team Elevation, and just watching him every day, the hard work he puts in, even when he's tired, and you can tell he's tired, he still never makes any excuses. He always gets what he needs to get done, and he's just real helpful, and he's always looking to help others, and because he realizes if his training partners are doing better, then it helps him because they're in a better place and they can push him more. So he's just always trying to help others.
Yeah, nice. So for you, I guess you talk about Team Elevation. Is what is that? Is that where you train out of in Denver?
Yeah.
So who's on that roster? And then do you guys have like you said you've got a captain? Is Neil the guy who started this team, or like how does that work? You got some principles that you guys kind of live by or you operate by?
Neil is the original fighter on Team Elevation. It was began like 4 years ago by Trevor Whitman, Vinny Lopez, Dwayne Ludwig, and Elliot Marshall. It was just a bunch of guys. They're all former fighters. They just got together and decided to put together a team of guys. And then slowly over the years, they were able to recruit other guys. Like they recruited me. They were just able to keep bringing in good bodies, and eventually it grew into what it is today.
So how many members you got today? Is this all? Do you guys all train out of the same gym, or do you guys you come in, people fly in from all over the place?
We have like a base gym, which is where we spar and do our wrestling. But we all go everywhere.
Yeah.
I go to Dwayne's for kickboxing. I go to High Altitude for jiu-jitsu. I work with my boxing coach at his gym. I go to a strength and conditioning gym. There's a lot of cross training here in the Denver area. That's the good thing. All of the coaches at all these gyms, there's no animosity.
Yeah.
They're all buddies. So
you get a lot of that. You get a lot of that with just these clickiness. Like, if you're training with him, you can't train over here. Especially in the jiu-jitsu.
They don't do that here.
A lot,
Yeah, they don't do that here, which is a good thing because the more bodies you can have, the more different like looks you can get, the better you'll be. And when you're only going against like the same 4 or 5 guys, it kind of gets boring. So every blue moon, you can go to a different gym and go against guys you don't know. And it's also when you go against guys that are like your buddies, you kind of pull back a little bit. It's easier to go against a stranger for sparring that you don't know than going against like a guy you hang out with on a daily basis.
The guy you're gonna see all the time.
Yeah.
I was hearing somebody, I don't know where I heard it, but somebody was talking about Ali sparring with the lightweights, and the heavyweights for speed. Just tapping, just like getting that speed up, and then going into with the heavyweights going like 6 rounds with each, just to be like on his toes and get that speed. Is that something that you do? You train with the smaller guys as well?
Yeah, I move around with everybody. I've been doing it ever since high school when I was a wrestler. I never had another heavyweight in the wrestling room to practice with. So I got used to going with smaller guys early on. And it definitely helps with my speed and my reaction time.
Is it kind of give you a false sense as well? And when you do get a heavy guy, you forget how strong they are, or?
No. I do a pretty good job of like evaluating guys. I know who's like an asshole, or who's gonna be like a counter striker, or guys that are gonna be aggressive. So I'm good at adjusting to whoever I'm going with.
Mm-mm-mm. And in terms of going forward, like I hear guys like Justin Gaethje. He's like, I got 5 fights left in me. That's it. I'm just gonna bite down on my mouthpiece and just swing. There's guys who are like, you know, I've got a couple fights left at the end of their career. You're a young guy. You're 27, 28, is it?
27.
Yeah. So like for you, like, are you thinking about opening gyms? You thinking about coaching in the future? Like what's kind of the future hope for you? You looking for another 5 years in the game, 10 years? Yeah. What's sort of your game plan going forward?
I'm hoping to get like another 8 years, and then hopefully by then I have enough that I can comfortably retire. And I don't know if I open up a gym or just join another gym and just help out. I don't have an exact idea yet, but it'll be something like that.
Something along those lines. And is that stuff that you think about, like in terms of when you're visualizing? I know you probably, I imagine so, you know, utilizing visualization for, you know, you seeing yourself holding that title, you seeing yourself knocking the guy out, choking him out, or, you know, pounding him, ground and pounding, wrestling him, you know, like the stuff you're visualizing. Are you also visualizing that longer term stuff, like the, you know,
Yeah.
what the long term view is, or is it mainly just like, all right, I'm just going to get that belt, and it's kind of single minded?
No. I know I'm gonna get the belt. I'm not. I know I know if I put in the work, I'll get the belt, and I do envision myself with the belt, and then I envision myself afterwards once I retire, all the opportunities having the belt will give me,
Hmm.
and how to properly use those opportunities.
Hmm. So is that stuff in terms of visualizing? Is that something like you set an alarm and you do that every kind of morning or before you
I,
train, or like on the when you're traveling? Like how does that work?
I do it. I'm usually doing it when I'm driving, because that's like half my day is driving from one gym to another gym to another
You
gym.
driving up the mountain and
Mm, Yeah, it's a lot of driving. The traffic here is usually pretty bad, so I spend like 2 to 3 hours a day just in traffic.
wow. So is that
Yeah,
like do you have like you put on some beats and you start visualizing, or like
yeah.
what kind of music you doing that to?
It depends on the day. But lately I've been listening to a lot of Chance the Rapper and Logic, uh, Future. Uh, listening to Drake's new album
The
that just
Scorpions?
dropped. Hmm.
I hit it hot. I hit it hot. Yeah, so that sort of gets you in the zone, that gets you in the vibe, and then you just see yourself like,
Yeah.
do you visualize yourself like if you're working on a particular aspect of your game, like a different part, like a submission or something like that, or a combination to get in, like what kind of stuff are you visualizing?
I visualize myself hitting specific combos in my fights. I visualize head kicks. I visualize spinning elbows. I visualize my hand getting raised. I visualize the media scrum afterwards. I visualize the after party. I visualize every. I'm very. I drive a lot, so I think about a lot.
So we're gonna be like the secret to Curtis Blaydes is success is the Denver traffic.
Definitely part of it.
That's awesome. And do you do much reading or listen to any podcasts or anything like that?
Yeah, I read a lot.
What
I
do
was
you got
actually
there?
just this book. I don't know if you.
Inheritance.
Yeah.
What's that one? Who wrote that? Who's writing that?
This is by Christopher Poloni. It's a part of a series. I'm actually rereading it. I read it years ago. Just decided to reread it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a mix of Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter with
Oh,
lots of
nice.
dragons. Yeah.
That's Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite books to read. I don't read much fiction, but you know the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and that the Harry Potter series is incredible. The writers of those, they just like before the movies, way before the movie. I read Lord of the Rings before even internet was proper. You know, like back in the day when it was dial up on a modem. You know, probably
Yeah.
possibly before your time, but you know, I was on that and reading those books incredible. So if it's anything, those two names you said, if it's anything like that, it's going to be an incredible book.
Yeah. It's usually the books I'm into. I'm into the sci-fi, fantasy, vampires, werewolves, zombies, all that stuff.
Yeah, nice. So you don't get much into the nonfiction or the mindset kind of stuff?
I'll mix it up every blue moon. I got a roommate. He's a lot more into those like the uh, uh, self-help books or the he's got a book. What's it called? It's like How to Not Give a Fuck or whatever. He's into books.
The subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Nice. And that's the guy you live with.
yeah,
So yeah, so while you're there talking about dragons, he's talking about I don't give a fuck.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're not on the same wavelength, but we like the same movies.
No, such as what have you been watching lately?
Pretty much the same as my books is my movie taste. Like
Are you into the kid stuff, Incredibles 2, that kind of stuff, or not really?
I watched that. Yeah,
Yeah. You
and I
into
watched
the Marvel, the Deadpool,
Deadpool, Avengers, uh, the new Star Wars movie.
Solo?
Oh, um, just anything like that. Like, if I watch like with movies, my appetite is a lot broader. I watch pretty much any movie, but books is primarily the sci-fi stuff.
You got that genre. With movies, like if you're talking classics, if you just name like three of the top movies that come to mind in terms of ones you can watch 50 times in a row and still be happy.
Braveheart, Gladiator, and what? Oh, um, Castaway.
Oh, wicked. The Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, William Wallace, right? Is the
yeah.
Braveheart. That's the first one. No,
Hmm.
that's a good movie. What's the like? Is there scenes in there? Is there something that stayed with you? Like, what's the feeling or whatever that makes you go, yeah, these are the ones that are the best.
I mean, Braveheart's just amazing. Like the action scenes, the drama, the history. I'm a history buff. That was my major in
Mm.
college. So I like old like war type movies. I like those like 300. I
Yeah,
love 300, even though it's historically inaccurate. I still like it.
you're like they fucked it. They just totally fucked the story. And they
Yeah.
tell us how it's inaccurate. Like, what is it like? A totally like
Oh,
bastardization of the story? Is it like painful to watch it in some ways, or
if I was a Persian, which is basically that was the people that were going against Persians, basically Iranians, I would be highly upset about how they were portrayed. They were portrayed as like weird, sadistic people. I was like, I don't think that was accurate, or or how they were defeated. I think there's a part when they had the other Greeks in there, the Phoenicians. It was the Phoenicians that betrayed them. They
and so
didn't.
they just made it up for the storyline
Yeah,
that the Persians were the
I
ones.
mean that's Hollywood. They're gonna do that. You gotta like accept that and just enjoy the movie.
Yeah, is that something that you'd be interested in doing movies and things? Are you into the acting and stuff, or
Nah, I'm not really big into acting. I like to watch them. I don't like to be in them.
yeah, and yeah, there's a
I
lot of
mean,
go on.
we all got a number, you know. If they offer me enough, I'll pretty much do it. Okay.
I could see you in a Lord of the Rings, or like a Drax type character,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I could do that. Dry humor is my specialty.
Drax is a really amazing character. I love that guy. That Batista, he's a dude.
Yeah. He,
He's a good example. Is that something you ever got into? Was like the fake wrestling, like the WWF, WWE stuff?
no, I was actually offered a WWE tryout after I won nationals for wrestling in 2012. I turned it down.
Is that
I
because
don't
you weren't into acting at all?
I don't respect that. I don't think they should be allowed to be on Sports Center. That's not a sport. That's just how I feel. I know a lot of people might get butthurt about that, but
You like take that shit off my sports center, put some sport on here,
yeah,
motherfuckers.
that's not a sport to me.
They're taking up 2 hours of your time where you can watch some sports. So you're a sports guy?
Yeah, yeah, I'm big into football, basketball, a little bit of hockey, a little
Yeah.
bit of baseball.
You play any of those? Like back in the day, or?
Oh yeah, in high school I played football. I was all right. Wasn't good enough to get a scholarship. That's why I went on to wrestle.
Yeah, man. Yeah, cool, man. And yeah, it's really nice to connect in, and I'm looking forward to seeing the future for you as well. All the best with it.
Appreciate that, bro.
All the best. We out here in Australia, it's growing here. It's blowing up, like the amount of MMA gyms that are opening, the jiu-jitsu gyms that are opening, striking gyms. It's really blowing up. I know a bunch of kids who grew up like street fighting, in the street, and now they're
No,
now they're black belts coaching hundreds of kids, and like it's really inspirational thing.
I appreciate you for not holding a grudge after the Mark Hunt fight. I got a lot of Australian hate in my
Oh,
DMs
for
after
real?
that.
For people hating on you for not for beating him?
I never got so much hate in my life.
Like what? Like what do? You just block it out? You just read the comments? What do you do there?
No, it was a long flight back from Perth.
Of you deleting messages?
No, I replied to every one of them, and there were a lot. I
What
replied
do you
to
say
every.
to him? What do you say to him? So I'm sorry, I beat you, guy. What do you want me to do?
I give him the emoji when you're like this, put your hands up. Oh,
That was every reply for you, was it?
yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Well, no, a lot of them were just angry. They were like, "Why didn't you stand and bang with him?" Like,
Bro, I'm
why
not
the
gonna do that. This guy hates
why would
like a bloody hammer, like a jackhammer. It's the last person you want to do
why would
that.
I do that? I get why you're upset because I beat your hero. I totally get that, but I'm not gonna lose because you want your hero to win. I'm not, I don't know, but
No doubt.
Dick,
But no, man, it's no point for me. For me, there's no point in like I when it comes to sport. Like I'm that guy. I love sport too, and MMA. I love this sport as well. Anytime I see competition, two people, two teams, going at it. I was watching the football, the World Cup, soccer World Cup, and and I don't really care like who wins. I just want to see a good game.
I feel
I'm that guy who wants to see. I don't even like any sport. I'll watch it, but like you got the baseball there. I just want to see bottom of the ninth. It's scores are tied, bases are full. The count is full. You know what I mean? Like I want to see that.
yeah.
And I don't even like baseball that much, but I just love that competition and that how much it matters. Things matter a lot more when there's like you've spent all your
One,
life doing this. You spent all the time doing this. So when I see two people fighting, it's like I just want to see a beautiful, the art form and just watch the game. It's like like Rogan says, it's like that high level problem solving with dire physical consequences. When you're watching that, it's like I'm edging my seat. I'm forgetting to
yeah,
breathe sometimes. You know what I mean? Like my heart's racing. I'm feeling adrenaline. Like get off my seat. Like and that watching two people who put their years and years and years in, and then they're out there putting it all out there and just leaving it on the field or in the octagon or in the ring. Like how can you hate someone for that? You know what I mean? Like I'm just like how could you
I
hate on
get it.
someone like that?
I don't get it either, bro.
So are you someone who watches a lot of the fights as well? Like you study tape and stuff?
Um, yeah, no, yeah, I watch a lot more than I used to in the past. Yeah,
Is that because you found that it was helpful, or is that like you just thought
I'm just becoming a bigger fan of it because, to be honest, I like to fight, but I don't I don't have a love. I love wrestling. I don't love MMA. I like it because I'm
mm,
good at it, but I don't have like a strong, heartfelt passion of it. So I'm trying to grow it by
mm,
like watching the history and appreciating how the sport has evolved and all that stuff.
So you're not the guy who's studying Bruce Lee and who's like
No,
going into the
it's not
philosophy.
real. That's what he does. He watches old Bruce Lee, old GSP. That's where I got it from. I got it from him. I started to watch videos with him that's what he does. He goes on YouTube and puts on highlights or watch podcasts or interviews, all that stuff. He's a bigger historian of the game than I am, but I want to become better.
Has that helped you at all? Like, since you have been, like, watching a little bit more, have you found that's helped you in the octagon or at training?
Yeah, no, because when I watch guys, I'm like, oh, I like that move. Maybe I'll try that, or oh, that was a good way to defend that submission. I like that. I'll try doing that tomorrow. So yeah, I think it helps a little bit. It can't hurt,
Well, it's just more perspective, isn't it? It's like you get to see a lot more of the patterns that you then. Oh, I've never, out there doing like the suplex to the armbar, doing some Mighty Mouse. Or
no, I probably won't go for that move. But even watching the little guys, they'll do something. I'm like, oh, I think I can do that. I can do, like, there's a lot of moves I wish I had, like, tried out in the Alistair. I didn't realize how I respected his hands a lot more than I probably should have. There were some moves, there were some openings I could have went and try to highlight move. You just gotta get used to tossing them out there.
Are you drilling those highlight moves in the gym?
Oh yeah, we're drilling head kicks and all. We're drilling spinning stuff, and we're going for standing Kimuras, all that stuff. I want to add as many tools to my game as I can, but I know I'm always gonna have my wrestling in my back pocket.
Yeah, and nobody wants to mess with that.
Hope not.
In terms of in terms of those highlights, I think that is big as well, because one of those, like you said, if you do land one of those, that could be 100,000 followers, right? Which then
exactly.
It's a big thing, man. It's a big thing. In terms of like that mindset, just to stick on that mindset stuff, and like going into like watching tape. I know there's guys. I think it was Derek who was talking about he doesn't watch any tape. He doesn't care who's in front of him.
I mean, I watch a little bit. Like I look more so for tendencies. Like, do you lean to the left when you throw your jab, or do you cross your feet when you switch your stance? Do you bob your head before you're about to shoot?
Do you have any little tells?
Yeah.
Like a poker player.
Mm-hmm.
And you find you catch those as well, like when you've watched stuff and you pick stuff up and it's worked in a fight, like in the ring.
Yeah, it was one thing we picked up on Alistair. Whenever he goes southpaw, he likes to do a drive-by with his left hand. He likes to do a drive-by.
So it's like he leads with the left.
Yeah. And that's how he dropped Stipe in his last title attempt. He dropped him with that southpaw drive-by. So I knew whenever he went southpaw to like follow his outside leg and drive him into the cage. Yeah. And he never really attempted it. I think it's because I recognized him going into the southpaw offense.
Nice. It's it's so high level, this stuff, man. It's like, and it is dire consequences. Like you got head trauma, you got like broken ribs, you got people dying in the octagon sometimes. It's absolutely crazy.
You want that win bonus. You want the extra X amount of money.
It's crazy. And in terms of you, like you said, possibly you'll be working with possibly opening gym, in terms of like just people getting into the game or people starting out, like starting to learn jiu-jitsu or starting to learn striking, or wrestlers, or people who didn't make the football team or whatever. Like do you have many of these people approaching you, or you got people coming up say, hey man, like can I get some advice or anything like this? Do you get much of that?
Yeah, I get it a lot in my my DMs on Instagram,
Mm.
and I never really have like the perfect answer because this was an accident. I didn't like plan to be in the UFC. I don't know how to give you the roadmap.
Mm.
It's like you listen to your coaches, work hard. That's all I got. Like win your fights. If you win enough of them,
That's awesome. Listen to the people. That is some good advice. So listening is something that not a lot of people learn how to do. It's like they want to know. They feel like they know better, or I see a lot of it in the you see these shows where they have the team, and the captain and the tough, for instance, like the Ultimate Fighter, and these kids want to think that they know better, and then these
yeah,
guys who have been in the game for 10, 20 years longer than them, I think it's an important point you make is actually listening to those who have done it before you, right?
yeah. I used to be a bit hard headed. Then after I lost, I was like, can't be hard headed. You got to be open to everything.
Well, I think you said, was it Verdun that gave you the stitches?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a little while ago. Like that's
3
when I
years
was
ago,
out
so?
there. I went out there to LA for about 3 months, and this is when I was still bouncing around, looking to find a new home gym because the gyms in the Chicago area they're not really at that level yet. So I
Mm.
was like hopping around America, and I was out there for a few months. And one day it was like, "Yo, you're gonna spar with Verdum." This is back when my hands were still really bad, so it
Still
wasn't good.
developing.
It it wasn't very good. It was a bad day in the office, but
Well,
it was
I think the comment you made there was, stitches are the best teacher,
yeah, they are. I learned.
keep your hands up.
Yeah, that's what that's what I learned. Keep your hands. Yeah, I used to drop my hands a lot more too.
Mm,
Yeah, that probably was what happened. I can barely remember it now.
mm. The I think was it Verdun who had a thing with Colby Covington.
Oh yeah, the boomerang thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was what do you think about that kind of stuff? Like people talking shit and then it actually crossing the line
Well,
between a show and you actually could get hurt for real.
I think that was. I don't have anything against Verdum. I think that was deserved. What what Kobe Covington said about Brazil was borderline racist, and I don't get down with that. So I don't blame Verdum for how he felt. I can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's not something you'd engage in. You just be like, all right, leave it for the ring.
Well, if I was a Brazilian, I'd be very, very upset about that.
Yeah.
Very, very upset.
In terms of that crossing the line, is that like, yeah, you just I guess leave it for the ring because you can, like Connor's obviously in court for a lot of this
Yeah,
stuff, and like I don't know what happened with that if Colby pressed charges or whatever, but like it can get you in trouble, like and it's going to cost you money. You could end up doing time if it's like I don't know.
yeah. I'm not gonna lose my job over another man or over another man's words. I'm not gonna lose my job,
Mm-hmm.
but I will let you know how I feel about it. That's just how it is.
In terms of like PEDs, I just wanted to mention PEDs because like you said you're a bit like Nate Diaz, more on the Nate Diaz side of things. Like when he fought
Yeah,
Connor, just like motherfucker, let's just shut the fuck. Let's just talk it out in the octagon. But
yeah.
well, I know one of Nate and Nick are always big on everybody's on steroids. Like is that just a soundbite or is that like something that you've seen around or?
Um, at Team Elevation, I'm sure everyone at my gym is they're clean athletes. I don't think anyone in my gym needs any of that stuff. The skills we're building, the things we're learning, I think it's enough. You don't need to be physically the stronger athlete. You should be the smarter athlete.
Mm. And have you
Um,
And have you seen it, like, in terms of, have you definitely know somebody's on the juice and you fought them and you can feel a difference, or?
No, I haven't had an opportunity to run into anyone that was actually on it.
So
Uh,
nobody who you fought has been like done after the fact.
yeah, at least I don't believe I have. I wouldn't know, but at least not in the UFC. I don't I don't think anyone I know Alistair wasn't.
Mm.
He looked like he was a lot smaller than what he was back in the day.
Yeah, it's a big difference, right? When you see the Uberim versus the nowadays Oberim, or the like, you see the big difference in the body, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he looked a lot more natural.
Definitely can see it. Yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate your time, and like, yeah, just I love to connect, and good luck with everything. You're doing a great job, and I wish you all the best with with going forward and getting that title. It looks like you're on a run, just quietly. You're just kind of under the radar, and all of a sudden you're number 2 contender. It's like, it's an incredible run you've been, and like you said, you're not too outspoken. Like, you're not trying to make too much noise with your mouth. So I really love your style and the way you're going about it, man.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast.
No, it's my pleasure, man. I'll get it out there. I'll let you know when we go live, and look forward to speaking to you as the champ with the belt. You could have that belt next time you're on. That would be amazing, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we can. I'll do it. I'll definitely do this again.
Awesome. I appreciate you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You have a good one, and thanks, listeners. It's been Curtis Blaydes, Razor Blaydes, right? Love it. So how can people find you? How can they follow you? What is your socials?
You can find me at Razor Blaydes 265. That's my Instagram and my Twitter handle.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. And again, all the best with everything. I look forward to seeing you in that octagon again. What is next for you, by the way? You don't know until you get offered a contract, right?
I still don't know yet. Just waiting.
Cool. And when about you ready to go whenever, if you get offered one, or you got a particular time that you'd be ready?
Wouldn't be until after Halloween.
All right, cool. So later in the last half of the year, earliest.
Yeah.
Awesome. Keep at it, bro. Whatever you're doing is working. Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you.
All right, listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. And until next time, keep the flow growing and the growth flowing.